fad diets that I went through in my 20s. I hated exercise. And then I was coming up to my 30s and I was like, really need to do something about it. Now I absolutely love the gym and I do crazy challenges, a complete change of lifestyle.
So what was the real turning point for you?
My dad was going through a really serious battle with Alzheimer's, and one of the biggest causes of Alzheimer's is bad nutrition, bad sleep, being obese, which I was. So I really decided to educate myself on nutrition, mindset, and how you frame things, how you prioritize parts of your life.
So how did the 12 and 12 start to come about then?
I felt like I had just so much potential inside me, and I got inspired by the coaches actually. So that kind of inspired the idea. I wanted to show the variety of like hybrid fitness.
So the actual events, Pyrox doubles that you did, a strongwoman comp, a half marathon row, 60k bike, 300 burpees, is a long list of incredible things.
Taking on 12 challenges is quite tough, like mentally and physically. I think it's about the promise that you make to yourself. No one else is losing out by you not showing up. It's down to you. Celebrate what your body can do. Moving your body, exercise is a privilege. Hopefully you can find a love of doing it.
Hello and welcome to the T2 Fit Talks podcast, where we aim to educate and inspire individuals to achieve their full potential. I am your host JT, and today in episode 25 we have one of T2 Fit's very own members sharing her experience and motivation around doing the 12 in 12. 12 incredible experiences and challenges over 12 months. And here is Amy Short.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'm very, very good. We
Thanks
finally
for
got you in
having
the
me.
chair.
Yeah, I know, finally.
It's been a little bit of a time coming.
It has.
Yeah?
I'm excited to be here.
Good. Is that what you're telling yourself, or are you genuinely excited?
Yeah, I'm telling myself that. I'm manifesting it.
Good. So look, we're going to be talking obviously around the 12 and 12. So 12 challenges over 12 months, and it's last year, 2024. But before we get to that, and we kind of explain what it all was and what it was all about, give us a bit of a backstory. So what is your background in, I guess, training and in health and fitness, nutrition, whatever it may be?
Yeah, so my background, probably a lot of the members might not know, but I was actually, I've had a series of fad diets that I went through in my 20s. I hated exercise, which you'd never believe now because I absolutely love it. I've got a passion for it. Did a lot of yo-yo dieting through my 20s, bad relationship with food. And then I ended up actually like losing a lot of weight really quickly in my 20s, then putting it all back on and more. And so I got to a point when I got myself to 20 stone. When I was 28, 29, and then I was coming up to my 30s and I was like, really need to do something about it. And so now I absolutely love the gym environment, love exercise, and I do crazy challenges for fun and fulfillment, and it's a real passion of mine now. So a complete change of lifestyle, but I love it.
So what kind of led you to that 20 stone initially? Like you say, there wasn't really an enjoyment of exercise or anything like that. Fad diets, a bad relationship with food. What was it that maybe kind of fueled you into that?
Yeah, so I think, like growing up, I had like bad sleep, like going to university, drinking culture, and just a love of like sugar, really. I just was addicted to sugar. I felt like I ate relatively healthily, but it was the snacking in between, and found myself putting a lot of weight on when I was at university, and then came across this fad diet, and it was like no carbs, and I went on this diet, and I lost a lot of weight really quickly, and I was like, I've cracked it. And I saw exercise as a means to burn calories and rather than for the enjoyment. So then as soon as I lost the weight, stopped exercising, started snacking again, and then just all of that weight put all of that weight back on and more. I did things like the slimming clubs that you might see. I did that, and again, bad relationship with food, a lot of shame, and then it would lead to things like eating, like restrictive eating, and then eating in secret and things like that, and just having a really bad relationship with food and drink. And then as I got towards my 30s, I did actually a gym class at my work. My work did put on a gym class, and it was kind of like dancing and fitness, like good music. And I was like, I've got 2 left feet. But she was like, you're moving anyway. And then I realised through that, you could do something fun, and exercise could be fun, because every time I tried to do things like running, I thought, I've got to do running to be fit. And I really struggled with running, especially at that size. And so gradually I learned that there are forms of exercise that can be interesting and fun. Then I booked my first PT session at the start of 2020, just before lockdown. Did a couple of PT sessions. We went into lockdown, but I carried them on through through doing like video PT sessions, and I just carried it on, and I found a love of weightlifting. And that was a real win for me, because I found something felt like I was good at, something I loved, something I was naturally strong at, and it didn't feel like you had to be all sweaty running. I got to lift and feel strong, and then the results just came off the back of that. And then 5 years later, 6 stone down. So.
And what eventually, I guess, led you to get the doors of T2 Fit?
Yeah, so like I said, I'd found a love of fitness already, like in terms of building my strength and weightlifting, but then I just wanted to go that extra mile, and I came across T2 Fit, and I thought, God, like the old me would have been so scared to step into somewhere like T2 Fit. I would probably be, I better get fit before I go there. But actually, it's such a welcoming environment. So I would encourage anyone to step through the door, because you get to be around like-minded others, the community. And I never actually initially joined it for the community. I wanted to join it for the elite coaching, and I wanted to become better at cardio. I was like, cardio is this nemesis. I've done the weights now. I want to be good at cardio, and that's why I joined. I was like, I like that accountability. I like having a place at a time. So I joined T2 Fit for that reason, to improve what I'd already started a bit of momentum doing. Mm-hmm. But then I realised the power of community, cheering each other on, championing each other. And I learned such incredible technique on deadlift form and things from the coaches that I just didn't learn previously. So yeah, it was really inspiring to be in that environment, and I love learning, and learning's so good for the brain as well. So I just found my love of fitness grew even further at T2. So
love that. So what was the real turning point for you back when you were kind of coming into your 30s? Like you say, you were 20 stone. For a lot of people we work with and we speak to, there has to be a shift, normally a mentality shift, and there's going to be something in the background that triggers something. What was that real kind of turning point for you at that point? I
think there wasn't one big thing. It was an accumulation of lots of little things. And sometimes some people want that, they wait for New Year and New Year, new me kind of diet. But what I'd encourage everyone to be the best time is now. And I'd find myself waiting for the next event coming up, the next holiday, the next milestone, birthday, etc. But that was counterintuitive, because I'd get to that event or I'd get to that holiday, and then I'd lose a bit of weight for it. And then again, you just fall back into old habits. I needed a full lifestyle change, and so that's when I discovered there were forms of exercise that I could love and enjoy and do for fun. Find something that you you're interested in, so that you're going to continue that momentum and maintain consistency, and just lifestyle changes like walking more. I got a dog, so then I was doing lots of dog walks and things like that. So small incremental changes, but the big thing for me was obviously coming up to my 30s. Obviously during COVID, it was a chance to really hone in and focus. Obviously it was a really challenging time, but I turned to exercise to help with the stresses of that time. And also my dad was going through a really serious battle with Alzheimer's, and one of the biggest causes of Alzheimer's is bad nutrition, bad sleep, and obviously being obese, which I was. And I could just see the life quality for my dad was not a life quality I would want for myself in the future. So I really decided to educate myself on nutrition, sleep, water, all of the things that are needed for the fitness world, but actually you don't often think about the impact that has on your brain. And so I really wanted to do that as well for my dad.
So we often talk about kind of having a why.
Yes.
And I guess when you listening to that there, obviously your dad really does become your why.
Yeah.
Like you say, you look at that and you think, okay, well, I'm going to make a bit of a change. I'm going to make sure that I don't end up here, and I'm going to change it for the better, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that there's going to be a real whole kind of overhaul of a lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned some things there, but how do you, it's very, I guess, easy to say, I'm just going to start doing these things. Mm-hmm. How did you start planning that out? Was it literally just a change in mentality where I'm not taking no for an answer, for an excuse anymore? I'm just going to do this. What things did you really actively put in place? Was it literally writing a list? Did you fail? Did you then succeed afterwards? How did it all kind of happen?
Yeah, so I think there are a number of things. One thing I learned from a life coach was a life wheel, where you take a wheel and you divide it up into 8 segments: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you list different parts on that life wheel. So like fitness, family, finances, whatever, like different aspects of your life, and then rating your satisfaction levels with those areas. And obviously the one that have your lowest satisfaction score against. So obviously I had like a 1 for maybe my fitness levels or my appearance. Obviously that was the lowest score out of the full wheel. So of course I love things like spending time with family and friends, but I knew I had to put my focus and attention on that thing that was like really making me suffer in my life. I also struggled a lot, understandably, with like self-doubt, insecurities, low confidence levels, and so I really had to learn to like talk to myself in a different way, rather than beating myself up for my size and how I looked, and it being purely about appearance. Like, it's actually now about my health and my longevity and my lifestyle, not just about my appearance. And so I really had to change the way I spoke to myself. So I learned a lot more about mindset and how you frame things, how you prioritize parts of your life. So I really worked on the mindset part, during the process as well. It wasn't like, okay, here's an exercise regime and here's a diet, because I've done that before and it doesn't work. I had to change my mindset, and I had to change the way I view myself as someone that can achieve these things, rather than someone who, feels sorry for herself because she looks a certain way, she can't fit into clothes, she doesn't want to go to events, she doesn't want to be in photos. These are all things that happened to me. I was at Hindu once where I was on a deck chair that broke. Like, all these things you look back on and you're like, these are all like moments that, I should have been a wake-up call, but they weren't. And then once you get to the part where you're starting to make momentum on your journey, you look back at those moments and sort of almost like feel a little bit sorry for myself, and but have compassion. I also learned a lot about hormones as well. So really educated myself first before like jumping in, whereas I think previously I just jumped into the latest craze. So I really educated myself on hormones. I got diagnosed with polycystic ovaries, and there's a real link between polycystic ovaries and insulin resistance, and that explains a lot, because I was so addicted to sugar. And like I said, I'd eat relatively healthily, but I'd have sugar to keep me going. Work stress, tiredness, I just would reach to sugar. And as soon as I reduced that sugar, my symptoms reduced, and obviously it helped with the lifestyle change as well. So it wasn't really necessarily a tick list, but it was knowing that the fitness piece was my number one priority. If work was crazy, I would say, I've got to come back to this, I've got to go to the gym, and then I'll come back to it, rather than previously I probably would have carried on working and not ended up going to the gym. So it was just a case of changing my priority order in my life, and then looking at mindset and how I spoke to myself.
Love that. Is the wheel something that you still use?
I do, I do still use it sometimes, When things get a bit overwhelming, I'm like, right, let's go back to the wheel. And I know, it can be a real struggle. You've got the family life, work, finances. You've got to think of so many different things, and that can be quite I especially get very overwhelmed. So it's nice to be able to just break it down and be like, look, what is your non-negotiable number one priority that comes above everything else? You might have to sacrifice a few nights out with friends, which I have done, but then now I've got a better way of life, and I've got more energy to do things with friends, and we do different things now. We go on walks, we go and do competitions together. So it's just a slight changing of your narrative. It doesn't mean you're missing out on things like friendship. It's just a slight alternation of putting that something number one.
How often do you do that, just out of interest? And how often does the numbers change order?
I'd say, do you know what, the numbers, I don't find they often change too much. Because like I say, it's not about reaching the goal. It's like the continuation, even maintaining that weight loss is a lot of hard work. And it's still something I do struggle with. So it doesn't always change. It's sometimes a case of, they might alter a little bit, but I probably do it maybe once every 2 years or once every year maybe. But it's good to reflect on what your priorities are, what's your why. Your why might change as well. So I think it's good to revisit every now and again. Or when I get overwhelmed, then I'm like, okay, there's too much going on right now. Let's go back to what's my number one.
So how did the 12 and 12 start to come about then? Because like you say, there's a huge difference, huge mindset shift.
Yeah.
Where did you pull out the bag? Like, okay, I'm going to go for a full year, 12 months. I'm going to do an amazing challenge every single month. Was it something that you'd seen or heard or kind of developed yourself? Like, how did they all come about?
Well, I think most people that know me know I'm quite like competitive or quite, ambitious. Previously to the fitness world, it might have been to do with work or like, even just, go and play mini golf, whatever. I'm quite competitive in those environments, right? And it's actually like, it's not about proving myself to other people. It's more about proving myself to myself, which I find quite interesting. But 12 and 12 came about because I felt like I had just so much potential inside me, but I felt like I was the wrong person in the wrong body. And so as my body started to change, I was like, I could actually do these things. So just at the beginning of my weight loss journey, I entered into do a marathon swim, which is a 10-kilometer swim. And obviously I was at my largest and I was like, I can't do any form of exercise apart from swimming. I know I can swim. So I went and did a swimming marathon, and actually just a couple of days beforehand, I was going to quit. I wasn't going to do it. I was like, I haven't really trained very well. I'm quite stressed. I'm worried about my time. I'm going to be one of the slowest people there. These are all like professional swimmers doing this. And then I met Dame Kelly Holmes like a couple of days beforehand, and she was talking about how she won her gold medal. And I was just like inspired by, how she visualized, getting the gold medal, how she just strove for excellence. And so I met her and she was like, just go and do it. I told her about the swimming marathon. Just go and do it. What's the worst that could happen? And then that just stayed with me throughout all of these challenges. Like, just go and do it. Like, you might not get the time you want, or but it's the taking part that counts, and you might learn something about yourself. So I did do that, and I joined T2 Fit, and then a lot of the members were doing high rocks. This was back in 2023. So I did my first high rocks, and I loved it. Got a real buzz for it. But then it finished and it was over, and I was like, what do I do now? So I wanted that continuation of momentum, and I got inspired by the coaches actually. So Amy Darch did a 24-hour challenge, yourself and Luke trying to get your sub 60 high rocks. Luke doing his 12 marathons in 12 months. So that kind of inspired the idea, and a couple of my friends as well doing different fitness challenges. And I was like, I'm going to do 12 challenges. I want to show the variety of like hybrid fitness, because that's what I've learned, the love of, strength and being a strong woman, and, also combining that with cardio fitness as well. And so I decided to do like a real mix of different challenges, again, to try and prove myself to myself, but also show others as well, like, this is possible. If I can do it, it is possible.
So there really was, I guess there's a physical thing to it, but like I say, there's that kind of inward challenge for yourself. But I guess a lot of it, and I think you mentioned to me before, is very much about kind of stepping outside of a comfort zone, proving to yourself that you can do something when times get tough, both physically and psychologically. But one thing that always stands out to me when I read some of the things that you wrote down was about finding your tribe, which I really, really loved. And you mentioned obviously a few things there about having, a network of people around you to support you and kind of inspire you. How important is finding your tribe?
Yeah, finding your tribe is one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the last couple of years. Like, who you surround yourself with really impacts your performance, how you see yourself, how you see the world, and that could be negatively and positively. If you're, if sometimes I know in family environments, there's a lot of food or drink, might be involved, or, again, with friends, it depends on like who you hang around with, and who, if you can try and change that environment, that's ideal. But yeah, it's finding your tribe, finding people that cheer you on, champion you. Some of these competitions I've been to, I've like not even known a lot of the people in the audience, and they've been cheering me on, cheering my name, which is incredible. So finding your tribe and being able to spur each other on, like sometimes you can talk quite negatively to yourself, but hearing other people, champion you, telling you can do this, it really does help and inspire. And again, how you talk to yourself. When I used to do things like running, I used to go running and be like, I can't do this. And as soon as you say I can't, your brain will shut off and you won't be able to do it. Whereas if you say I can, then even saying the word yes scientifically from a neuroscience perspective, helps you to run or helps you to do that lift that little bit more. So again, your tribe can help with that. They can tell you can, and yes, and you've got this. But if you can do that for yourself as well, that's really important. So yeah, surrounding yourself with like-minded others really does help. So find a friend or find other groups of people who you can connect with to inspire you.
Love that.
Yeah.
So the actual events, I've got a list here. I'll kind of go through at least most of them. So we've got obviously the initial High Rocks doubles that you did, which you loved. We've got a strongwoman comp, which became second in, I believe you said. And then potentially even like a little bit of a first there, had the finger not been a problem.
I could have got first.
Yeah, which is coming hopefully this year. Half marathon row, 60k bike, 300 burpees. I mean, that's horrendous on its own anyway. High Rocks solo, 10k runs, 5k skis, ATHEX, sprint triathlons, duathlons. Like, it's a long list of incredible things. And probably a list that most people would never even complete in a lifetime. How did you go about actually choosing what the events were going to be? And did you do them like before you started, or was it kind of something that you planned kind of as you went?
So when you reel them off, it does sound quite crazy, but I promise it was fun. A little bit towards the end of the year, I was quite tired. I think I've got a lot of adrenaline and buzz for life. So I wanted to sign up for as many things as possible. And there were things I'd never done before, like a 10k run might not be a big deal for many people, but that was a big deal for me, doing my first 10k. And then I obviously knew I wanted to do the High Rockses. I knew I wanted to do High Rocks doubles, and I wanted to do a High Rocks solo. So they were like locked in. And then it was like just a case of mapping out the rest throughout the year. I actually sat down with my T2 coach, and we went through like all the different opportunities and spoke to friends and family about them as well. So I kind of got inspiration from lots of people. Amy Darch recommended a strong women competition, which sounded right up my street. And so I signed up for that, and I was so happy to get second place at that competition. So yeah, it was just about a case of finding out a couple of events that are happening through the year, signing up for them, and then where there are a few gaps, I filled them in with my own challenges. So like the 300 burpees was one I did off my own back, the half marathon row, which actually was one of my favourites. So I just kind of mapped them out all throughout the year, and I really wanted it to be a blend of strength and like cardio fitness, so real hybrid, and also I wanted to showcase that you can do multiple different things. Some people just stick to one certain competition or exercise. I wanted to try the variety. I wanted to try different things, find my thing. And also I got to meet lots of people while I went along the journey as well. And other people joined me for some of them as well. So it was great fun. And
it actually ended up helping you through quite a challenging year as well. Yeah. So talk us through that and how maybe the physical elements of that, maybe even the psychological elements, kind of really helped you through that year.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously taking on 12 challenges is quite tough, like mentally and physically. And I started off January, did my 10k run, it was great. And then February, my dad passed away. And really completing these competitions was a real way for me to be able to focus on something that was supporting me in my journey, my grief, and also doing something that my dad would have been proud of, and I can be proud of myself. As I went throughout the year, it turned out to be a really challenging year for me. And again, like certain moments of doubting myself, and like challenging moments of struggling with stress and sleep, and they affected some of the challenges. Some of the challenges were really hard because of that, but actually the challenges helped me get through some of those tough moments. So yeah, it really was, I think, having something to look forward to, having a sense of purpose as well, like doing some of these challenges, even if you just did one challenge, it just gives you that sense of purpose, momentum, drives you forward. I found that with my overall like transformation journey. You can't just wait for motivation to come knocking at the door. It's not going to come. You have to kind of create momentum to get motivation. Mm-hmm. And that's what I found with these challenges. Once I'd done one, once I'd done two, to, started sharing on social media that I was doing these challenges, everyone started asking me, what's your next challenge? What are you doing next? And kind of that kind of sparked even more motivation to do the next one and the next one, and kind of share my journey with other people as well. So it's kind of that momentum along the way really helped me with a really tough year. Like I say, it created some motivation for me and a self sort of belief and sense of purpose and a confidence that I can do these things. They're hard, but I can do them.
Love that. Was there any point throughout that year where you thought, I might not actually get this done?
Yes, there were a few moments. I'm pretty sure I came to you, JT, a few times, like, JT, I can't do this. I'd signed up for a full Olympic distance triathlon, and I remember coming to you, JT, I don't know if you remember, but I was like, how did you do it? I found the cycling extremely difficult for the Olympic triathlon. I actually got COVID just before the Olympic triathlon, so I ended up doing a sprint triathlon instead. Whilst I still had COVID, at the end of my COVID. But yeah, so that was really tough. One of my challenges, I wanted to get like a sub 25 5K run, and my running just wasn't quick at the time. So this was towards the end of the year for November. So I did have to like change a couple of my challenges. So yeah, there were a couple of challenging ones. And then the March competition, it was kind of like an obstacle course, and part of it was doing 100 sit-ups, which was brutal. And yeah, I did question my sanity at certain points, but also it showed me in the moment, like it shows you your grit and your determination. And again, I go back to the brain health piece, but like when you're in a learning zone, and so if you're going outside of your comfort zone, that puts you in a learning zone, and that really helps to improve like the grey matter in your brain. And so even though I found some of those moments really tough, knowing that not only is it good for you physically, but mentally, it's actually changing your brain. So that is also really inspiring. So you face these hurdles, these difficult moments, but it's going to make you stronger as a person.
Did you realise that you had that grit already, or did you find it along the way?
I think there were moments where I felt like, yes, I did already have it, because I wouldn't sign up for these challenges without having some grit, like knowing that I was about to face a tough year. But I think, yeah, along the way, when, it was hard to get up and train and fit everything in, and going through some tough times, and easily you could just, throw it away. But I wanted to keep doing it. I made a promise to myself. So yeah, I wanted to keep going. So.
And what was your biggest highlight over the 12 challenges, or even over the year, let's say?
Yeah, my biggest highlight over the 12 challenges probably is inspiring other people to do challenges as well. So I definitely had a few people, like I said, they were coming up to me asking what challenges I was doing. So I had a few people say, I want to do a challenge now, or I'm going to start running now, off the back of that. So that's been amazing. Even if I can just help change a couple of people's lives through doing that mindset shift, if I can inspire someone else to do that, that's amazing for me. And like I said, I did a couple of challenges with some friends as well. There were key moments, running across that High Rocks line with Kirsty. It was an amazing moment. And so yeah, there's been an amazing few highlights really. And the Strong Woman, I have to say again, I've signed up for it again this year. I haven't signed up for all of the other challenges again, but I have signed up for the Strong Woman just because it just feels badass. Like lifting really heavy weights and lifting stones. It's just pretty cool. And getting to second place when I thought there's no way I can compete at something like this when I don't normally do it on a day-to-day basis. That was a key highlight as well. And yeah, getting inspiration from my tribe as well. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about doing all these things to hopefully try and find your thing. Mm-hmm. Are we saying the Strong Woman thing is definitely your thing?
I don't think it's my thing. It's just something I had great fun doing, and you want to do things that you find fun. So I'm going to have another go at that. I really loved High Rocks as well. So yeah, I'm still figuring out what my thing is, but definitely something that's more strength based. Again, the blend of strength and cardio, which High Rocks is great for. And yeah, getting more inspiration from the tribe as well in terms of what other competitions are out there, and how other people perform. And I know you're training for High Rocks as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to know from you a bit more about why you sign up for these challenges as well. And is High Rocks your thing?
Is High Rocks my thing? It is at the moment. It definitely is at the moment. I'd be like you. I enjoy that combination, I think, of the running and the strength side of it, the conditioning side of it. It definitely has some things in there that play to my strengths. The running definitely isn't one of them. It's something I've got to work really hard on, which I guess is an enjoyment factor to a certain degree. But I think I book challenges for the accountability element of it. Like, I know that I need something, whether it be even a few months in advance or a year, 2 years. I need something to work towards. I think when I think back to, I've always enjoyed training. I guess my dad was always kind of a bit of a figure that I followed in terms of training. He always did it, so I kind of followed in his footsteps to a certain degree. Then I found sport, and then it was just like a done thing. So every week you trained and every weekend you played, and I did that for such a long time. And we got to a point where I guess I started playing rugby, and I was lucky to play to a decent level, injury, etc., etc. Then I had to come out of it. There was a big hole left for me. And I was like, well, I don't really know what I do now. I really enjoyed having people around me, that kind of team community element. I enjoyed the challenge weekly. Every weekend I knew I was going to have to compete with myself more than the people in front of me. I was like, what do I do to actually try and find the next thing? CrossFit became that thing for me after a few years of doing nothing, really. I mean, I did nothing. Got in terrible shape, was drinking 3-4 times a week. And just got to a point where I was like, oh no, I really need something. So anyway, started playing some kind of sport and got into CrossFit big time. Started to compete again. And I found like it just really, filled a hole that I was missing, that competitive nature. Again, it was in a CrossFit box with loads of people that were like-minded and enjoyed that kind of same competitive arena. But then it got to a point where I was just injured all the time. But I think that was more my problem than it was CrossFit's problem. Went back to playing rugby for a little bit. I've always had something. I think I'm naturally quite lazy, if I'm honest. I would quite happily sit there, chill out. I mean, I get fidgety after a while, I'm sure, but I'm probably quite lazy. I enjoy having something where I know I need to challenge myself, whether it be physically or mentally. So doing these challenges definitely works for me a little bit. High Rocks is that thing this year. I had High Rocks last year, obviously doubles and singles. Before that, it was marathon, ultra marathon. I keep getting hammered in to try and do this Ironman at some point, which I'm sure is going to happen at some point, but when, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to need a full year for that, absolute sure. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge. My bank account doesn't enjoy it when I have to start buying all the kit for everything, mind you, but still, I do enjoy it. And I think, if, like you said before, if you can be that person who inspires even just one person to go and do something, it's great. But I really enjoy that community element of just being in different things. Like you say, you can turn up to a sprint triathlon, know no one, but actually you'd still feel part of that community pretty quickly. Same thing for a run club or turning up to the gym at T2. Very quickly, you could be an individual person who is part of something straight away. I really enjoy that. I think it just comes back to the team stuff. But yeah, there's a definitely accountability thing there to stop me just being lazy, I think. I'm not sure.
I think I'm the opposite. I think I'm naturally very energetic. I've got a lot of energy and I didn't know what to do with it. So I would eat, I would snack.
Oh, see, I wish
and
I
now
had that.
I'm like,
I wish I had
doing
that.
all these challenges. And I feel like I'm at my happiest when I'm doing exercise now, which if you told me that, I would say that 5 years ago, I would have laughed.
See, I don't have the energy, therefore I eat. I don't have the energy and I eat anyway. So it's a way for me to eat and drink a bit more than I would. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I do all these competitions, so I can keep eating.
I definitely think it's one of the reasons I do mine, for sure. It just means that I can eat and drink a bit more than normally I would do. Okay, so we've got the 12 and 12. Looking back on it now, what were your biggest takeaways? Let's go with that. And I guess the other side of that question is, did you find out or learn anything about yourself that you weren't expecting to by the end of it?
Yes. So I learned a lot, absolutely. One of my favourite things I learned, and I've spoken about this before, is what you do in the dark that makes you shine in the light. And so everyone thinks it's like race day when you get the medal and everyone's cheering for you, and everyone think that that's the most important part of it. And actually, race day is just the party. Like, that's the celebration, like crossing the finish line or doing the event itself. It's the training that you put in the background. It's the work that you do every day. It's the nutrition. It's preparing the meals. It's, fitting the workouts, doing the runs. That's the preparation. That's where the real hard work comes from. And so, we mentioned about grit earlier. That's where grit comes from, in those training moments where you've got to, there's no one there. It's just you, or sometimes you do it with other people as well. But it's down to you, and you've got the accountability of your coaches or friends and family. But yeah, what you do in the dark makes you shine in the light. So that's something I've really learned, and you can apply that to every aspect of life, whether that's fitness or work as well. Like, if you want that next promotion at work, the work you do, it's the groundwork you put in, not the moment that you get there. Or if you're running your own business, it's not the sale that you're making, it's the work that you're doing leading up to that sale. Or so it's don't lose sight of, don't just chase the goal, because as soon as you get the goal, then you're like, it's like a bit like me with my 12. That's why I did 12 challenges, because as soon as I achieved something, I was like, what next? And the same with like my old view of my lifestyle and fitness and dieting. It was like that holiday, and then once I get that, then just go back to normal. So it's the pursuit of the goal that is where the magic happens. So try and celebrate the accomplishment of even just being on the journey, rather than, you're not always kind of reaching your end goal. You may or may not, but it's the journey that counts. So I've definitely learned to try and celebrate the small wins, or being on the journey itself. That's where the magic happens. So yeah, I'd say that there are a couple of things there. And I'd also say, excuses as well. Like, we're all probably familiar with like making excuses, and the old me used to make so many excuses of like, oh, I'll do it when this happens, or this date, or oh, I don't have time. But I'm sure everyone like scrolls a lot on Instagram. You've definitely got time. You can find time. And so even if it's 20 minutes, it's better than nothing. And just like those small incremental habits. And I found that with my journey, like just a quick walk, a 10-minute walk would turn into a 20-minute walk, would turn into, and ended up being like an hour. So, and same with working out as well. Just those small incremental changes, little things you can do over time, is really going to help you like reach your goals eventually. Just don't go all in. Like, I used to go all in, like, right, get back from holiday, get straight back on a strict diet, stop eating carbs. Like, it doesn't work. It's the small little incremental changes that you can make along the way that really helps. And I learned that through the challenges as well. Like, it's the little things that would help me, like not even a little thing, but like sleep and stress and all the things that sit outside of the training for the competitions are just as important. So it's when you put the whole together, then that's where success is found.
How important would you say it is to kind of get into the habit of sometimes just showing up? Like you say, some of the challenges weren't going to be record-breaking times. We had COVID on the sprint triathlon and things like that, and as you mentioned, going through a tough time, sleep, and you didn't have a perfect platform every single time to go and complete these challenges. But how much power is there in just still showing up?
I think it's about the promise that you make to yourself, right? So no one else is losing out by you not showing up. It's down to you. And I really learnt that. And again, I've gone through a lot of work around like the education part, and then a lot around like self-belief and self-worth, and like the value I had with myself, and that I own my own value. And so, showing up is that's up to me, but then I'll reap the rewards of showing up as well. So I think that's been the major learning there. So you've probably read James Clear, Atomic Habits, but that's where I learned it from. It's like, even just putting on your gym kit and like going to the gym, you don't even have to do the workout. Like, even just going physically there and just doing that again and again builds the habit and builds the momentum of showing up. But then once you're there, you're like, oh, I may as well do the workout anyway. So I think it's just, again, like the life wheel that I mentioned earlier, having it as your number one priority, if you can, and then also just showing up, and you'll surprise yourself. Like once you've done it once, twice, like over time, that's how habits build. And it's not always going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be tough. Sometimes some of the workouts, some of the runs I did, they were awful, especially the cycling. Like, can I just say, I really hate cycling. But rather than telling myself I hate cycling, I really tried to change the narrative. And same with running. I used to like hate running, but again, I heard the science behind. If you say I hate it, if you're trying to do something, you're saying I hate it, I can't do it, your brain is instantly going to switch off. So then I was like, tried to tell myself like, I am a runner. Like if you see me running up and down the roads around the area, you'll see me. I talk to myself out loud. I say, I'm a runner, I'm a champion, I can do this, I'm getting better at this every time. And it really does help it genuinely does help to bear on. So yeah, they're the things I've learned with that, showing up and talking to yourself differently than you ever have before, rather than beating yourself up.
One of the key things you actually you wrote down, which I wanted to highlight because I think it's super important, was around fueling your body for performance and not just for the appearance, which I think, again, it's just incredibly important. Obviously, for the challenges, there'll be an importance there as well. Was that something, again, you was stronger for you because of the challenges, or was it down to the learning kind of side that you had prior to it?
I think it's a combination. It's like the learning you do, but then you're putting it into practice. And so again, like I said, in my 20s, it was like carbs were the enemy, carbs the devil, and I've been able to do this journey whilst eating carbs every day, whilst eating chocolate probably most days, like fitting it in to my diet. And I still have more that I want to do and achieve with my physique and my strength and my fitness levels. I'm not quite there yet, and I do struggle with it on a daily basis. But seeing food for fuel and performance, rather than, seeing it to do with like appearance and even just overall fitness, like that, I used to see exercise as, I need to go and do an exercise because I like ate loads at the weekend, need to go and burn it off. And that's just like a toxic way to see exercise. Now I do exercise because I absolutely love it. I get such a joy, the endorphins from it, and like the sense of purpose from it as well, and feeling strong. So it's just reframing your mind on, fitness and food, to fuel your body and eat right at the right moments, and not to restrict too much, because it's when I restrict, then I fall off the wagon. I then end up like might binge or whatever. So it's about making sure you're eating that's going to fuel your body for performance, and not just appearance. So and also just again like the mindset piece has been so powerful for me, and reframing how I see food as, rather than like I can't have that, and that being restrictive, and then food addiction takes over, and then you want it more. The more you say you can't have something, the more you want it. Actually saying like, I don't need that. I don't. That's not going to help me with my goals. It's not going to love that food. Is not going to love me back. So just and now I genuinely I love like preparing healthier versions of the foods I love. Like there are ways around it, and eating higher protein to help with the strength performance goals as well. It's just a lifestyle that once you learn a bit about it, and then you see it work in practice, the combination of the two things just again like spurs more momentum and more motivation to carry on.
Love that. And what is next for you then?
What is next? Let me think about that.
What do you want to achieve? Is there another challenge that you want to complete? Maybe not 12, but is there anything specific? Do you want to do another High Rocks? Is there anything on the horizon? We're clearly not cycling again.
Clearly not. Actually, you say that, but okay. I've got to be in my bonnet about the triathlon.
Okay.
I was going to do an Olympic triathlon,
Love
and
that.
I didn't do it because of COVID.
Yeah.
And can I tell you, when I did the sprint triathlon, I was like, thank God I got COVID, because thank God it was only half the distance. So I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet. I want to prove to myself that I can do an Olympic distance triathlon. So you'll probably see me do one of those. Once I got over my fear of the bike again, I'll do another. I'll do an Olympic triathlon. And I've also, as I said, signed up for another strong women competition. Yeah. I'm going up in weight category, so I'm doing the heavier weights this time.
Nice.
So gonna challenge myself at that. And then I'd also, of course, love to do another high rocks, but definitely not solo. Definitely doubles. I'd love to do a mixed doubles as well, the men's weights. So yeah, another high rocks, maybe not right now, maybe like next year. I think I need a little bit of a break. But yeah, lots of different challenges. But also, again, like the just more focus on the nutrition. That's what I've been focusing on lately. Really focus on my food and nutrition, because it's still the area where I do find the most challenging. So yeah, that's what I'm focusing on right now. And again, that self-talk, self-belief is what I'm focusing on.
So if someone was thinking about taking on a challenge, if they were thinking about doing something to really step outside of their comfort zone, what would be your kind of words of advice? What would be the thing you go like, get these things in place or focus on this? What would your advice be to anyone who's looking to do that?
So my advice to anyone, first of all, be just do it. Like you know, like Kelly Holmes said to me, like just go and do it. What's the worst that could happen? Like sign up for something. You'd be surprised in what you can actually achieve. And tell yourself you can. Like that, like I said, that self-talk, self-belief is gets you halfway there. Like if you believe you can, that's half the battle. So just tell yourself that you can, and yeah, definitely that will help you to achieve. Also celebrate what your body can do. Like moving your body, exercise is a privilege. It's not a chore. It's not something like we have to do. It's something that you hopefully can find a love of doing it, and it's a privilege. It's, you know, celebrating what your body can do, what it can achieve, and that's how I see my body now, rather than like look at all these things it can do. And when I've been in some real dark places on some of those challenges, it's been about, you know, look at what my body can do now. I never would have been able to have done these things. The old me could not have done these things, and now I can. So yeah, looking at your body as a powerhouse of things that you can achieve, and seeing the other members as well, seeing some of the other incredible things that they've achieved as well. It's amazing to see other people achieve things as well. So maybe you might inspire someone else too. But yeah, I'd say go for it, believe that you can, and celebrate what your body can do, and see it as a celebration. So a lot of people get like nervous around events, and me included. Like, it's nerve-wracking. I didn't really sleep very well before that high rock solo, but then the sense of pride, the sense of accomplishment, even if you might beat yourself afterwards, like didn't get the time I wanted, and again that negative self-talk can creep in. But again, just remind yourself, like, never would have been able to have done this before. I gave a promise to myself and I achieved it. So don't give up on yourself. That's what I'd say.
Love that. Awesome. Well, look, thank you very much for your time and sharing your story. And congratulations on an amazing year. 12 things in 12 months. It was amazing. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And there you have it. Episode 25, Amy Short in the books. Like, subscribe, follow along, and we'll see you again very, very soon for the next one.